Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. A glorious Monday to be above the mud. The show from our studios live in downtown Charlottesville, but our audience is Central Virginia-wide, Commonwealth-wide, country-wide, and worldwide here on the I Love CVille Network. The program presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary. The best dispensary in Charlottesville is Skooma Boutique Dispensary with the location on the downtown mall and on Ellwood Avenue off the UVA corner. A lot we're going to cover on today's show. We'll talk about the sale of Paradox Pastry. Jenny is the owner of Paradox. Well, I guess she sold the business, and she is a friend of the program, and she is absolutely fantastic. Jenny Peterson. A lot of people don't know this, but when she was launching her business, my company was very much in its infancy. And I was often working. Occasionally, Judah Wickower would accompany me, yours truly, 10 years ago, to work from Paradox Pastry in their upper level, their second floor. And I watched Jenny grow this booming business that we call Paradox Pastry, a business that in a lot of the ways should get a lot of credit with helping connect the downtown mall to Ix Park. Remember, if you look at the connection points between the downtown mall and Ix Park, you've had a lot of turnover in that glass building, the building that's owned by Oliver Kuttner. You've seen a handful of restaurants go in and out of the glass building. The X Lounge comes to mind. Glass House Kitchen comes to mind. The Bebedero at one point was a restaurant in that glass building, but none of them really stuck or had success or longevity. Paradox Pastry, however, very much embodied those qualities. Jenny Peterson put a business together that had multiple revenue streams, whether it was breakfast or coffee or lunch. You could have enjoyed it at Paradox Pastry in her fantastic business. Whether you wanted a cake to go, a wedding cake to go, some sweets for a special day, an anniversary, a birthday party, some kind of, event to remember or enjoy, Paradox Pastry was often the first brand that came to mind. Jenny Peterson did not care if you stood, if you waited, if you sat, if you worked in her business for hours at a time. She loved being around people. She loved the buzz that accompanied her business. And Paradox Pastry, now we can say, is being passed to a different entrepreneur. The baton that we call Paradox Pastry is being passed to the next generation business owner. I want to salute Jenny Peterson, who I think has been a phenomenal contributor to the food and beverage scene in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. She's come on this program before. Congratulations on selling your business. Congratulations on running a business for so long, so successfully. I think anyone that has gotten a taste or a flavor of Paradox Pastry knows everything is made with hard work and love. And while losing Jenny as a business owner in the downtown district is going to be a noticeable loss, we are very much proud and excited to see what's in store for her future, because it is undoubtedly very, very bright. Now, one other item I want to get out of my notebook is the news that came from the Daily Progress over the weekend that Ginny Bixby, one of their reporters, has now quit. The Daily Progress has lost 4 quality reporters over the last year, including, but not limited to, Allison Rabel, Catherine Knott, and Ginny Bixby. The Progress, over the last few years, had a really strong core of reporters covering the Charlottesville metro area. Well, boys and girls, viewers and listeners of this fine and fair talk show, the Daily Progress is down to 1 reporter. 1 news reporter right now. That news reporter is very new to this area. Does not have deep connections to Charlottesville, does not have a deep Rolodex or contact or network list of folks that are the newsmakers in the community. So just like that, the paper of record, the Daily Progress, is down to 1, count them 1, individual documenting the events Charlottesville, Virginia, an area that's home to one of the best public universities in the world. Think about that. I put this tweet out on the I Love CVille Network over the weekend. For the progress to survive and potentially deepen its stable of reporters, for the progress to survive and deliver positive outcomes for its shareholders, the progress is going to have to eliminate its print product. I'll say it again. The elimination of the print product is going to happen sooner than later. The print product is what's causing newspapers to hemorrhage, to bleed. The overhead is not sustainable. People don't read the print product. The print product is the yellow pages or the phone book of yesteryears. But here's the predicament the Daily Progress is in. If the paper of record for Charlottesville, Virginia eliminates its print product, its newspaper, then what has the Daily Progress become? It has become the equivalent of I Love CVille, the ilovecville.com. It has become the equivalent of what Sean Tubbs is doing successfully well, what Socialist Dog Mom and Molly Cogner have been doing successfully well, what David McNair and the DTM have done successfully well, what Charlottesville Tomorrow has done pretty strongly and very well, and what Neil Williamson does quite well. When you eliminate the print product from a newspaper, you take away a perceived value proposition, a way to potentially monetize customers at a rate or clip that web-based businesses cannot do. It's a tough spot for the Progress to be in. You take the newspaper away and you become a website for news. And there's a lot of those in Charlottesville. Right now, we have one reporter covering a 300,000 person community for the paper of record. I think all of us watching this program understand that that's not sustainable. All right, let's go to the two shop. We'll welcome J-Dubs to the mix. Carol Thorpe, Queen of Jack Jewett, welcome to the show. First, we'll talk Paradox Pastry. Remember, Judah, you and I 10 years ago, growing this business, working at a Paradox Pastry?
Yeah.
Upstairs on the second floor. Our office, this was years ago, was above South Street Brewery. And the offices above South Street Brewery
smelled a lot worse than Paradox Pastry.
Exactly.
While at least on Thursdays they did.
Thursdays they brewed beer at South Street Brewery. And while Judah and I have an affinity for cold beer, what you don't realize, when you're working above a brewery, the process of brewing the beer is very different in taste and smell and experience and quality of life than the process of drinking said beer.
No doubt.
So oftentimes, while working above South Street Brewery, while we were struggling to make ends meet, we said, let's get the hell out of here and let's go to Paradox Pastry. The aromas, Judah, were quite different at Paradox.
Oh, yeah. The sweet is not so, I don't know what I think it's the malt. It's just got a cloying sweetness that...
it's intrusive. It is unapproachable.
Yeah.
And it's not something you want to smell all day.
No.
So we'd go to Paradox, we'd sit there and we would wait and we would work and we would spend hours working on our clients and helping them grow and build their brands. And Jenny was bustling below us, grinding and building her business. And never once did she say to us, it's time for you guys to go. I want to highlight this. The importance of Paradox Pastry in connecting the downtown mall to X Park. Many businesses have tried. The X Lounge had perhaps the second best run at this. But what happened with the X Lounge, it eventually became a den of trouble, of fights, of arguments, of drugs, of police showing up on a regular basis. So while the X Lounge tried to be that catalyst that connected downtown to X Park, it did not maintain the longevity or consistency to do that. Paradox Pastry in a lot of ways did. Getting folks to walk from the downtown mall to X Park is a challenge. It's 3 to 4 blocks, maybe 5 blocks. A lot of people don't want to do that. So when you have stops in between, like Paradox Pastry, like South Street, to help you get to Brazos Tacos or Three Notched, you utilize them. I mean, hell, Wild Wolf Brewing Company. Mary and Danny Wolf tried to open in the Glass House and to do a satellite tap room. That did not materialize or have success.
Yep.
So we should highlight how Paradox really became a connector of two thriving shopping and dining and experiential districts, Ix and downtown. Topics I want to cover for you and throw your way. Inka Grill is now open in 5th Street Station, the Peruvian restaurant that first originated in Roanoke. This is their 3rd location. They have Roanoke, they have the UVA corner, and now they have 5th Street, Inka Grill, the Peruvian restaurant. My question for you is, the yard, that little area where the restaurants are housed in 5th Street Station, what's your take on the yard from a potential success, longevity, and awareness standpoint in 5th Street? Seems to be an afterthought a little bit, the yard.
Yeah, well, when you put it in the far corner of 5th Street Station, and yeah, it's got some interesting little features. It's basically a tiny little courtyard. I don't know, I just feel like it could have been more well thought out. When it's sunny out, it's blazing on those seats. When it's cold out, I mean, who would want to sit outside? I just feel like, it could use heaters, it could use some type of cover for the sun, and did the restaurants ever really materialize around it? I mean, you have Extreme Pizza. Extreme Pizza's been the restaurant that's the longest in the yard in 5th Street Station. Yeah.
Father and son team, former client of VMV Brands and I Love CVille. We love them. We respect them. That family made their money owning and operating gas stations in the outer counties, most noticeably one of them in Buckingham. They took the revenue from running and managing and owning gas stations in the outer counties, and they utilized that revenue to launch an Extreme Pizza franchise in the Charlottesville market. And you could make a legitimate argument that the flagship or the end cap or the restaurant that is most influential or should be most influential with attracting people to the yard is Extreme Pizza because of its location within the yard, it being front and center of this outdoor food court. The yard never materialized, though, like it should.
Because the only restaurant there is a pizza place.
You got Chim.
Which is never open.
Chim is open for takeout.
Yeah.
You got...
Which basically...
What's the Hawaiian ham place that originated the farmers market? Mochingo?
Yeah, Machiko.
Am I saying that right?
I don't know.
I'll look that up. Keep finishing your take. I'll find that.
I was just going to say that, yes, we could say that Chim is at the yard, but it's certainly not helping the yard considering you can't eat there.
Mochico is the one that's kind of buried in there. So Inka Grill, I mean, a lot of people are excited about Inka Grill. The appealing thing about...
Weren't they supposed to get, wasn't the yard supposed to get, what was it? It was a place that was down on the corner.
Basil.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was there was some financial difficulties encountered with Basil when opening up the location in the yard.
So I think the big problem is it never materialized as the yard. It was just this place where you had a pizza place, occasionally the Chim, and then Mochico, which I've eaten at, and it's good. But it's just...
You've had Mochico?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. And you like it?
Yeah.
Family owned?
Yeah, but the yard it doesn't really have an identity. It's got this weird kind of...
That's the issue. The yard doesn't have an identity.
But it's also the fact that it's hidden away in the corner. It hasn't materialized as a place with actual restaurants that you can go to. Like if it had 4 or 5 decent restaurants and you could go and grab some food, sit down in the yard, it would be a great place.
Yeah, live music. You never really saw because the interesting thing about the yard is you can publicly consume booze outside in the yard. You can go from buying the booze. Well, the restaurants do, but it never gained traction. The yard was intended to be this little space next to a movie theater in a Class A shopping center where people could take food from restaurants, eat in this outside food hall type of concept, and drink before and after a movie. And it never caught fire.
Well, you've got the added problem that the movie theater has a little outdoor, bar seating area.
And I said last week the best happy hour in the city of Charlottesville may be the bar at Alamo Draft House with $3 draft beers, 3 to 7 Monday through Friday and all day Sunday. And they have a damn good craft beer selection.
And it's got the cover to keep you out of the sun. And I feel like I haven't actually drank in there, but I've walked by it enough times. I mean, is it just open air on that one side?
You're talking about the movie theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the one wall that's almost like a garage door wall that pulls up. Yeah. And you can go al fresco dining where the breeze gets into the dining room and it's fantastic. And I'll straight up say this, no one is at this bar. No one is at the bar in Alamo Draft House. And the beers are $3 from 3 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. The beers are $3 all day Sunday. And the appetizers are $5 from 3 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and $5 all day Sunday. They also have liquor and wine specials. And no one is at this particular place. No one. So here's the question I ask you. Travis Hackworth in Danville says, typically you find with most food halls like this, like the yard, they have at least one chain type of restaurant that drives people to it. It's about branding and marketing, and he's right. But unfortunately, COVID happened because Aramark, the company that often runs cafeterias and dining plans for colleges, Aramark was going to launch 4 to 5 brands around the yard. And Aramark never got traction with those handful of brands and restaurants that it was going to launch at 5th Street Station. COVID kiboshed that. So now you have this Class A shopping center with Class A rents in a food hall that hasn't gotten much traction. I will say that Inka Grill with 3 locations, this is their 3rd location, might be most prime for success in the yard.
I mean, is there ever going to be success in the yard? I mean, you just mentioned that you never see anyone in the bar at Alamo. Is it just something to do with 5th Street Station? I mean, I've seen plenty of people over at Fuzzy Tacos at times, and I've seen
at Timberwood Tap House.
Tap House get filled up occasionally.
Johnny Ornalis says this, and I agree with Johnny Ornalis. I believe with Marshall's opening it up, it might kick up at 5th Street Station. Marshall's is now open. It's replaced AC Moore. Johnny, that's a great comment. Jump in here.
Yeah, I think that's
excuse me.
That might be what finally causes it to work. But so far, for whatever reason, people just don't make it to that end of 5th Street Station and think, hey, I'm going to sit here and eat. I've wondered the same. The rents aren't cheap there. The rents are not cheap there. I'm sure.
They are not cheap there. So that's the question we have for you. Why has it not, the yard, gotten traction, popularity, or momentum like it should? Okay, because it's in a Class A shopping center. It's on the south side of Charlottesville where there's massive density and disposable income. We have neighborhoods all over the place. It's under-restauranted, the south side of Charlottesville. Under-restauranted. Let's go to Kathy Clark Gelberd on Judah Wickhauer's page. The yard has great outdoor area. Live music would be very helpful for the yard.
Anything would be very helpful.
They had a bar initially planned. You know that little hut that they have there? The trailer that's out there?
The one that looks kind of like a a storage.
Aramark initially had that restaurant, had that storage hut rented to serve boozy milkshakes out of it and adult dessert cocktails. But Aramark never got it going.
I would love some.
That would have been fantastic. If Aramark was slinging boozy milkshakes out of that little storage hut, it's set up for a bar. It's got running water. It's got sinks. If Aramark was slinging boozy milkshakes there, that would have helped with popularity. I don't understand why there isn't live music. I don't understand why the restaurants don't pool their financial resources together to create like a Thursday music series.
Is there enough room for music?
There's enough room over there. And to have some acoustic guitar players and some low vocals, that doesn't require a ton of equipment.
Yeah, fair.
So time will tell. We wish you the best, Inka Grill, as you open your business. And we highlighted Marshall's is now open in Fifth Street Station. We expect Marshall's to drive more foot traffic than AC Moore. Two other items out of the food and beverage notebook. In fact, 3 other items out of the food and beverage notebook. MudHouse on the downtown mall. You know where MudHouse is?
Yeah.
On the downtown mall, right? Mm-hmm. The storefront. MudHouse has now taken over MillieJoe Coffee in the Code Building.
Okay.
I want you to think about that. You know where MudHouse Coffee, their storefront is?
Yeah, you could have shouting matches back and forth between the two of them, right?
And then I just said MudHouse has taken over MillieJoe. Explain that to me. I know MillieJoe has struggled in the Code Building. The coffee shop, they've struggled in the Code Building. MillieJoe is also going through another ownership change. But explain to me why MudHouse would take over the MillieJoe lease and business opportunity in the Code Building when MudHouse Coffee is already open across the street.
I mean, just off the top of my head, all I can think of is that it's a strategic move to keep a competitor away from their their corner of the downtown mall.
That's fair. I thought about that. That's a great point. Great analysis from Wickhauer. That's one possibility. But you find it peculiar, right? A little curious?
Yeah, of course.
Especially in a time, in a marketplace where disposable income might be a little more tight and pinched for the next 12 or 18 months?
Maybe they saw a decline in sales when MillieJoe opened up
Perhaps.
the building and just said, "Look, we took a look at the cost of doing business there, and it's cheaper to get a spot in there than it is to have to worry about a competitor."
Perhaps. Another good take from Wickhauer right there. Another good take. I just found it a little curious, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
The MudHouse on the downtown mall, where it's been for years, if not decades, now has a new competitor on the downtown mall, and the MudHouse's new competitor is the MudHouse in the Code Building, across the mall from the original MudHouse.
Mm.
Found it a little curious. Johnny Ornalis says the Yard has not gotten together to make events happen. Inka Grill is planning on making these events happen. Now, the Yard could have different potential if there's a ringleader, like perhaps Inka Grill, like J.O. is saying, leading the charge and saying, every day we're going to have an event. Or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're going to have some kind of face painting, balloon making, live music, finger foods on the patio, first Thursdays, whatever the hell you want to call it, sunset music series, meet and greet, cocktail of the day by each of the restaurants for specials that you can enjoy outside. Maybe then it gets some success and gains some momentum. Up until this point, it has underachieved. And that's me being fair.
Yeah. Is anything that happens in the Yard basically just have to be put on by the...
Yes. Not the shopping center. We learned that
seems like a major failure to
correct
to deliver, because
the shopping center needs to create brand and reason for people to come to the shopping center.
Not only that, but with Inka Grill coming in, I mean, are they going to be is all the cost going to come out of pocket from them?
Yeah.
So that means that they're basically advertising or producing for all the other restaurants.
Exactly.
Which doesn't seem like an equitable solution to what the Yard is.
And that's why business is difficult. Judah just outlined it right there. But no different than if a restaurant opened on the downtown mall. You're not going to have the downtown mall hoot and hollering about a new business opening. Where it is different is potentially the Shops of Stonefield. Say what you want about the Shops of Stonefield, owned by a private equity firm outside of New York. The Shops of Stonefield is doing a good job of creating experiential events at the Shops of Stonefield to get people there, whether it's live music or their farmers markets or closing the roads down for kind of like a festival in the Shops of Stonefield. Now Albemarle County's Board of Supervisors considering the beer garden for the Shops of Stonefield. They're doing a good job of creating experiences for people to go to the shopping center.
I feel like Stonefield's set up a little bit better than Fifth Street Station.
I agree. Stonefield is set up
is like this gigantic parking lot with stuff around the outside
of the parking lot.
In some cases, like dotting the middle. Whereas Stonefield is kind of like this walking mall where you can walk.
Stonefield is live, work, play.
Yeah.
Stonefield has the apartment and condo density on site. It is not a palatial parking lot.
Yeah.
Which is what Fifth Street Station is.
Yeah. The parking is, along the streets, but then there's, more just set back.
Kevin Higgins asked what's going on with Draft Tap Room. I looked inside and it's a shell, nowhere close to opening. It will be 3 years since it's been closed in March. Great question. And you would think with a concept like Draft Tap Room, you're set up for pandemic success. You're going to machines and pouring your own beer. You're not having extra hands touch your glass. You're not having to interact with staff. You would think the automated draft beer pouring concept of Draft Tap Room would have had momentum like pizza delivery did during the pandemic. 3 years in March for what was arguably the only sports bar in the downtown mall, Draft Tap Room, still closed. Great question, Kevin Higgins.
Yeah, it's a damn shame too.
You liked it?
Yeah, why would I not? It had like an incredible selection. Always had good beers. I mean,
And you could get various sizes. One of my things about Draft Tap Room, my favorite beer is the Minuteman by 3 Notch. You know that. Dave Warwick, I freaking love your beer, dude. The Minuteman is my favorite. But one of the things I loved about Draft Tap Room is you could get like a shorty or a small glass and try 4 or 5 different IPAs.
Yeah.
Where that's difficult to find.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Williamson says design matters. Maybe he's saying that the design of Draft Tap Room was a little bit more sterile and Spartan and utilitarian and not cozy, welcoming, or approachable enough. And that's fair critique.
But I always saw people in there. I mean, there were always people, and it seemed hopping, people having fun, enjoying their time in there, whether they were eating, drinking, watching sports. I mean, I don't know what the reason is for for management to not open it back up, but it seems just a damn shame and a loss of. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine how much they've spent renting that place and not doing anything with it.
Yeah, time will tell. You would think a concept like that would make sense.
Yeah.
Especially one so focused on sports. Because where are you going to watch sports downtown? Citizen? Where do you watch sports downtown?
I don't, but I'm sure.
Well, if someone wanted to watch sports downtown, where would they do it? Citizen?
Yeah.
The Omni Hotel Bar?
Well, I guess.
I mean, Jack Brown's has a tiny TV. Where do you watch sports on the downtown mall? It's odd to me. It's another curious thing. And more closing news, unfortunately. Greenhouse Coffee in Crozet is now closing. Greenhouse Coffee in Crozet is closing. The owners of Greenhouse Coffee are going to try to pass the business on to an employee. And the employee, her name is Valley, is going to take over the restaurant. So Greenhouse closed in Crozet. MillieJoe's closed in the Code Building. Paradox Pastry has sold. Oh, the Brick Oven is permanently closed in Rio Hill. The Pizza Parlor, where Dino of Dino's Pizza and Dairy Market, Dino used to own the brick oven. He gained so much experience for running a pizzeria from the big brick oven. You're starting to see the collateral damage of cost of goods, inflation, labor shortage, still in the shadows of COVID, really wear down people. Brick oven closed. MillieJoe's closed. Paradox Pastry sold. Greenhouse Coffee closing. I mean, it's starting. It's starting, guys. All right, one other item out of the notebook, and this is a good one. We'll give some love to the Clifton. One of the fantastic partners of this program is the Clifton in Keswick. If you haven't been to their restaurant, you're missing just a fantastic dining experience. And we're very excited to launch a summer concert, a summer and fall concert series on Thursday nights at the Clifton. Marie and Coda of Chamomile and Whiskey will launch the summer and fall music series at the Clifton. We're also excited to potentially to give you the details this week of a new talk show launching on the I Love CVille Network as well. But before we get to that, Top Gun Maverick, Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick, is now the 7th top grossing movie of all time. It just passed Titanic. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick is number 7. Here's the top 10. The Avengers, Jurassic World, Titanic, number 8, Top Gun Maverick, number 7, Avengers Infinity War, number 6, Black Panther, number 5, Avatar, number 4, Spider-Man, number 3, Avengers, number 2. Good God, the Avengers printed money, man. The Avengers have 3 spots in the top 10.
Yeah.
Top grossing movies of all time. Let's put in perspective what the Avengers did. In 2019, Avengers Endgame grossed $858 million. Okay? The Avengers in 2018, number 6, $678 million. Then the Avengers did $623 million, and they're in 2012 in the 10th slot. So the Avengers altogether, quick math, call it $2.5 billion in gross revenues over 3 movies. That's a movie franchise. Top Gun now number 7, eclipsing the Titanic. Wow. Philip Dow, I know you're a fan of Baked on the James in Scottsville. I got your email. I appreciate you letting me know about that, Philip Dow. I will look into Baked on the James in Scottsville, so I promise. All right, that is the show. Judah Whitcower, anything you want to add?
I mean, if that's the show, that's the show. I think with Maverick, they just caught a much needed wave of people looking to recapture, something they really enjoyed from their youth.
There you go. Nice job, Judah. Good work. That's the show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to SCUMA. Thank you to the Clifton. Thank you to ISC, IMBS, Medical Billing Services, for being a part of this program. Animal Connection, thank you for being a part of the show. We love you guys at X Park. We're fortunate to have many, many partners of the I Love CVille Network that keep all our content on air. We've been self-employed for almost 15 years now. From being a staff writer and a TV broadcaster at the Daily Progress and NBC 29 15 years ago, to telling my family and my friends that I'm quitting my jobs and starting a company that will be centered around brand management and the monetization of content. They said, "You are freaking crazy, Jerry. You're freaking crazy." 15 years later, proven track record, a good chunk of a building on the downtown mall under ownership, 24 tenants in our portfolio, and we get to work with the best businesses and the best place to live in the world. Feel fortunate. For Judah, I'm Jerry Miller. So long, guys.